Hope everybody's doing well on this fine Friday. I wish the Miami Heat were doing better injury wise. No Jimmy tonight. No Tyler. Probably no Bam. Ugh. Oh, it is. It is. Donno drop here on the Five Reasons Sports Network. Alex Donno with you. We're going to be joined in a few minutes by Lee Sterling from ParamountSports.com. He's going to help us look at some winners for the weekend. Now, um, just so you guys know, and we are brought to you by Better Edge, by the way. We're going to talk about how you can get signed up and how you can get an awesome bonus with Better Edge. I think I might take a pass on Heat Wizards tonight when you think about the injury situation. So, we know Tyler Hero didn't make the trip. We have known that there's a decent chance Bam Adebayo doesn't play. You've also got Dwayne Dedman questionable tonight. I think there's another questionable this evening. And then we come to find out a couple of hours ago, according to Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler is not going to play tonight due to knee soreness. And so I was looking at, I think when I woke up this morning, I checked on what the line was. Heat at Wizards tonight, 7 p.m. And it was Wizards -1 this morning. And then before I actually saw the Jimmy news that Jimmy is not going to play tonight in Washington, before I saw that news, I saw that the line had jumped all the way from Wizards -1 to Wizards -6, which got me thinking, okay, something drastic must have happened because you don't just see a 5-point swing, if it's a slow news day. And then I know some of you all would probably say that I'm the mush and this is my fault somehow. But then I come to see that Jimmy is not going to be playing tonight. And yeah, this is going to be a tough one for the Miami Heat to win. So we're looking at that. And obviously you've got big picture question marks for this team. A loss tonight would put them 2 games under 500. They're 7-8 on the year right now. The Wizards are 8-7 on the year. You'd love to even up the record with them. I know we're not doing too much scoreboard watching this time of year and standings watching this time of year, but I think the Heat are a 10 seed right now. So, you want to try and creep up away from that play-in territory. There's plenty of time, of course, to do that. And it would be nice to get a shorthanded dub tonight to try and erase some of the frustration from the other night in Toronto, where despite being shorthanded, no Bam and no Tyler in that game, you still had a second half lead, but then you give up that 21-point third quarter scoring run en route to what ended up being a pretty disturbing defeat. It wasn't completely without positives, though, in that game, because you did have a positive NBA starting lineup debut, first career start for Jovic, who I thought did really. I always want to call him Jokic for obvious reasons, but it was a nice debut as a starter for Jovic, who shot 4 for 8, really sees the floor well, was assisting well in that game. So I like what he did. Pretty good chance he gets another start or significant playing time here this evening, as there's a good chance the Bam Adebayo doesn't play. So we'll see what we can do. We'll see if we can get any NBA picks from our guy, Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com, who's going to join us in a couple of minutes. Some NFL picks from Lee Sterling as well. Miami Dolphins, though, will enjoy the week off. We talked about it when I host the Extra Yard on Mondays with Troy Stratford. We talked about whether for momentum's sake, you're on a 4-game winning streak. Would you prefer maybe not to have the bye at this moment? But the Dolphins do have some banged up bodies. We'll see if, A guy like Byron Jones at some point may be ready to play again. They've got some players who are going to benefit from this extra time off. And honestly, when you've got an offense that is clicking like the Miami Dolphins offense is, especially now with the running game coming together, Jeff Wilson has been an incredible addition for this Dolphins team over these last couple of weeks. Since just getting off a plane in San Francisco, this guy's already making an impact that, maybe if nothing else, this extra time off might be able to give the Dolphins a chance to sort their defense out a little bit more, because the offense has been certainly ahead of the defense. You remember when the season first started, Mike McDaniel challenged his defense by saying, he challenged his offense by saying, hey, this is still the defense's team until proven otherwise. It's been proven otherwise, okay? Now, I want to remind you guys that these Donno drops are proudly brought to you by our betting partner here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and that is BetterEdge.com. There's nothing shady about Better Edge. And, when you're talking about people in the betting space, you can only say that about a precious few companies. There's nothing shady about Better Edge because it's completely legal in 45 states, including the state of Florida, because it's peer-to-peer. Your action is coming against other human beings. It's not coming against the house. It's not coming against the sports book. And as a result of that, which is something that I love, honestly, most about Better Edge, is there's no hidden fees and there's no juice because you're not going up against the house. They make their money, does BetterEdge.com, through advertisements on their website. They're not making their money by, taking a cut of your winnings. That's not how they do things. And so we have a special deal for you. And the other great thing about Better Edge is you can pick the line you want, right? Because you're going up against another person. You're not going up against the spread. So let's say maybe maybe you think the Heat can cover something tonight, but you want them to cover 10 points instead of 6 points. You can make your line at betteredge.com when you sign up with our special URL. That's betteredge.com/5 reasons. You'll see this page that I'm looking at right now. You sign up with our referral link, and they're going to give you a $20 gift just for signing up. Betteredge.com. Bring on our guy, Lee Sterling. Yes, Lee Sterling, professional sports handicapper. ParamountSports.com is his website. And Lee, I know we're not going to spend much time on Heat Wizards tonight because it'd probably be quicker for me to give you the list of guys who aren't out injured tonight
Right.
than the list of guys who are. So this is the type of game you probably stay away from, right?
Absolutely. I mean, unless you're probably playing the Wizards. They're a 6-point favorite now. I mean, if you're missing 4 out of 5 starters, I mean, it's going to be tough, but maybe see some of the young guys play. I just wish this was an exhibition game, not a regular season game. This game is certainly, and the season's starting to spiral downward right now. Unless they can make a trade for a power forward and get healthy. I mean, just look at the list of guys who haven't played yet for this team, and now Jimmy Butler starting to see that knee soreness, which plagued him in the playoffs. And, I mean, Tyler Hero, a sprained ankle. I mean, I just tape it up.
Yeah.
I mean, just put more tape on it. I mean, the maintenance on these guys, it started with the San Antonio Spurs a few years ago with their big three. I just think it's too much. If I was taking my son, and if your son becomes an NBA fan, not a big soccer fan, can you imagine? Let's say you buy tickets to see LeBron James and the Lakers when they come in, and he decides he's taking a night off for maintenance.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll tell you, Lee, my 4.5-year-old son, I guess he's almost 5 now at this point. His favorite sport, and I think part of this is like rebellion against my wife, is he loves football. And so my wife is already like, I don't want to steer him to playing tackle football because she saw the Will Smith movie a couple of years ago. She's scared to death. She doesn't want his brain to turn into potato salad. So she's like, steer him away. But he loves it, Lee. He loves the U on the helmets. Yeah. He doesn't even care when they lose. He just enjoys watching the game.
Well, let me say something. This is my personal opinion. At that age, I don't think, obviously they say the brain is forming everything. The equipment that they have on, they really can't do much.
Right.
I personally don't think they can hurt each other too much. So I think I had one broken finger had a dislocated finger. Was it going through youth league football? That's it. So.
Well, I can already hear the phones ringing off the hook at ParamountSports.com. So
Yeah.
we're staying away from Heat Wizards tonight for obvious reasons, unless maybe anyone out there wants to bet Washington. If you can still get it at Washington -6, that's probably not a terrible bet if we're being completely honest here. But let me ask you, Lee. He's a very big number at Death Valley tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Clemson Tigers, who are obviously a better team than my Miami Hurricanes, but Clemson favored by 19. Do you do anything with that? Do you like anything in that game?
I think the right side might be Clemson. They watched the last couple of their games, and are they great? Are they the Clemson of old? No, but they're still good enough, I think. If we had Tyler Van Dyke and he was 100% healthy, maybe you dip your toe in, but I don't think he's going to play. I think we'll see Ja'Cory Brown probably play, and I'm excited to see him play. I mean, I think he's exciting, running, throwing the ball. He needs a little more accuracy, throwing the ball down the field, but they're really only running like 15, 20 plays over and over again a lot of times in different sets. So I think the kids played hard last week. We didn't play the best team, but they got nothing to lose here. You might as well let it all hang out. But Clemson, I do like their receiver, Antonio Williams, true freshman, kid's number 0. He is a really good player. He does everything. They put him in the slot. They line him up outside in the backfield. He returns kicks. He's given them a little bit of spark, and also Will Shipley in the red zone, really hard runner. They end up usually scoring touchdowns when they get in the red zone, and that might be the difference here. So I think eventually, if I'm a Miami fan, looking at it from basis looking forward, play the young kids. Let's see what we have. Williams, I would probably put Williams, our strong safety. I'd probably put him at linebacker.
He's so big, like it makes too much sense.
And him blitzing, can you imagine him coming off the edge? And then I would actually put Stevenson, Treek Stevenson, at strong safety.
Yeah.
I don't think he can play cornerback in the NFL. So I think you put him in the best position where he would help us if he comes back next year, and also would help his development also and give him the best chance to play in the NFL. I think Clemson's the right side. I think they win this game something like 38-13.
There was a game I wanted to ask you about because, I cover the ACC pretty closely, not just Miami. Pittsburgh hosting Duke on Saturday. I don't feel like Pittsburgh is 7.5 points better than Duke. I know that the game is in Pitt, and obviously Israel Abanikanda is just he's top level. He's got 1,200 rushing yards plus this year. But Duke is a really good football team, and Pittsburgh has had some puzzling performances this year, like their loss against Georgia Tech. So I look at, and I know I'm not going to necessarily use your line of wrong team favored, but I think the right team might be favored by too much.
I agree with you 100%. Duke is actually real good against the run and 29th rated run defense. So they've only allowed 6 rushing touchdowns so far this season. So you hit on something. Once you study the ACC and you see these teams over and over, you get a pretty good feel for them. Yeah. And I just think that they're well coached with Elko. You saw that. They're not going to beat themselves. Quarterback, a dual threat quarterback, and Pittsburgh, I mean, if you take away their run, I don't think they have the receivers that are going to hurt you.
Or the quarterback.
No, they got up 2 touchdowns last week, 2 defensive scores, and they were up 14-0. They only had to throw the ball 24 times. So I think that Duke is a real live underdog there. I could see them winning the game outright. And the only caveat is weather. It's going to be cold. Could be like teens. And
is it I got to double check that because I looked at it the other day, and I'd been to Pittsburgh before in hospitable times a year, and I remember not being able to feel my fingers unless it's changed since Wednesday night, because I was doing Locked On ACC on Wednesday night. I looked at the weather, and I think it was like clear skies, 40 degrees was in the forecast, at least on that day. I think Duke can handle 40 degrees.
Right. I thought it was actually lower, but
I'm going to check it again now because listen, these weathermen can can change their minds here on a whim. Okay, now they're saying 32 degrees, Lee.
Okay.
32 degrees and partly cloudy. So we're getting closer. We're
Right.
getting closer to that.
Snow flurries, you
Yeah.
know. And the wind there is really tough on kickers. You know,
Yeah.
Chris Boswell, the kicker for Pittsburgh, just a note here. If you're ever playing a Pittsburgh Steelers game, he's out actually for the next 3 games. He missed last week, but he is one of the most underrated kickers. He kicks in one of the toughest venues. Used to be formerly Heinz Field. I'm not even sure what they call that stadium nowadays. But
it's a ridiculous name now, but it's Heinz forever as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So just something to take note there. You know, that could be a little bit of a problem for the Duke kickers. You want to have experience kicking there, but I think Duke is clearly the right side in that game.
Okay, so looking into a big weekend, no Miami Dolphins this weekend, but full slate of NFL action coming up, college football, NBA. Are there any games that you'd like to give to us and our viewers?
Let's first start in college football, Georgia-Kentucky game. This line a couple weeks ago probably would have been 16 and a half, but Georgia ends up destroying Tennessee, dominating them, should I say, blowing out Mississippi State, and then Kentucky inexplicably loses to Vanderbilt. And so that's why that line has moved all the way up from probably 16 and a half to 22 and a half, and it could close 23 and a half, 24. I think Kentucky can play with them. Kentucky is a much better team at home, 16-6 against the spread the last 22 games at home. They have a skill set of guys that should play better than they have. Will Levis has not been 100%. I know he's got a toe injury and a shoulder injury, probably 85%. But if he plays the way he's capable, it gives them the chance to have a passing game, and on top of that, Chris Rodriguez to do some damage, to score some points against Kentucky. So their offensive line has been a disappointment this year, but I think their defense is going to come to play here. And I think Georgia's good, but I don't think they are even close to where they were last year. I think they caught Tennessee. Remember this, they caught them in the rain, and I thought Tennessee had a poor game plan that game. They decided, we're going to throw the ball down the field in the rain. No. Tennessee actually was smarter last week. They're like, okay, we made a mistake. Let's start getting the ball to our playmakers, our receivers, and they got a couple really good ones in space, and let them operate, and that's what they did. So sometimes, teams evolve, and I think it's going to help Tennessee out long term. But I think Kentucky plus 22 and a half, 23 might be the right side. I could see like a 31-17 game. One of the games I'm looking at in the NFL, Dallas-Minnesota game. Both teams are involved in some really interesting games last week. Dallas blows a 2-touchdown lead, loses that game. And Minnesota comes back from 17 points and maybe one of the most exciting games of the year. Kind of reminded me the ups and downs, the back and forth of the Kansas City-Buffalo game from last year. So Minnesota's 8-1. They are 29th in total yards allowed on defense. When was the last time you saw a team with an 8-1 record with a defense that's had that many problems? Also, they could be without 2 of their top 3 cornerbacks in this game. So Dak Prescott might have a big game, and they might be without their starting left tackle. And we know what kind of rush Dallas has, 35 sacks on the year. So I think it's a trap play. I think the public is going to go with Minnesota, taking the home underdog here. And I think Dallas, which is 13-3 against the spread the last 16 times as a favorite on the road, I think they win and get the cover 30-24.
Ooh, I like it. By the way, we get this message here from Bryce, who's watching. He says Heat, Bucks, Lakers, Warriors, money line, parlay +9. I mean, it sounds to me like you just bought a lottery ticket. I mean, so don't expect to have much better odds, because right there, I think that Heat game is going to blow up your parlay before it even starts.
How about teams like the Warriors? Warriors have not played well.
Yeah, they haven't.
Got blown out by Phoenix the other night, and the Lakers. I mean, they're even worse than the Heat this year.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the The Warriors and Lakers are both favored 7.5 and 7 points respectively. The Heat are 6-point underdogs, and what was the other one? The Bucks
What?
are 1-point dogs in Philly. So you might want. I know it spices up the odds, but you might want to leave the Heat off of that
Right.
parlay.
Right.
You'd have a better chance, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with it. Another game I'm looking at is the Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game. So I take a lot of notes when I'm watching games. First game of the year, I had Pittsburgh. And everyone talks about the games that you lose.
Mm-hmm.
But I got lucky taking Pittsburgh that first game of the year. Cincinnati turned it over 5 times, including 4 Joe Burrow interceptions. This Pittsburgh team, I thought, played well last week, but they were off the bye. Now they've got to face Cincinnati, who's off the bye and looking for revenge from that opening week loss here. Joe Mixon, who I thought had not looked good going into their last game, finally put it together here. So I think Cincinnati will be ready for this Pittsburgh team. And, I think even though you're laying 3.5, 4 points, I think Cincinnati's the right side.
I love it. Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com is his website. What can people find this weekend at Paramount Sports?
So we've got our college football underdog play of the year, 45-unit selection. I will text you the play. So
I think you've already revealed that it's not the Miami Hurricanes plus 19, but it's gonna be something
different. I will say this. It's not a 1, 2, or 3 point underdog. I see some of these handicappers, they put out underdog play of the year. I'm taking UCLA plus 2 points, USC. It's a game where a team is getting more than a touchdown. I think they've got a good chance to win the game. And we're 3-1 on these 45 to 50 unit plays, our top plays. We rate our plays from 10 to 50 units. And we're also 54-19 last dozen years on these 40 to 50 unit plays. So they want to get it. Normally, you've got to be a monthly or season subscriber, not this week. Baker's dozen, 13 games, including this college football underdog play, just $97. And it's an instant download. So as soon as you purchase it, you don't have to call me back on Saturday or Sunday. 13 games, $97, one place, ParamountSports.com.
Solid. Lee Sterling, thank you so much and enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, let's take off next week. I want to wish you, Alex, and your family.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And all the listeners out there a happy and healthy Thanksgiving. And let's come back championship week and hammer home some plays there. And hopefully the Dolphins, keep on rolling. But the only thing good going on here at South Florida right now.
I'm hoping to get some good news in recruiting again for the Hurricanes. Right. As far as the actual on the field stuff, not so much. But yeah,
just a brief note about that. I think Miami's going to be fine.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think the problem is it's just going to take a year long. We were hoping for like an 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 season, and the talent wasn't there. And honestly, the coaching hasn't been great. Sure. I think they'll tweak. And even if like a Tyler Van Dyke leaves, I mean, this kid Brown, something special. I know they have even though we lost one of the quarterbacks, he switched to Florida. They got they have a top recruit coming in. So let's let him get his players in. He did the job. He recruited well. Look at what's left at Oregon. So
well, and all I ask for, Lee, as far as getting the right players, get people whose moms and dads aren't going to bitch and moan on social media, and people who aren't going to walk out of practice because they fell down the depth chart. Oh my God! Okay, ridiculous. Just get me players who aren't doing that nonsense, and I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah. So hey, we'd love for them to have won right out of the gate. Didn't happen, but still, if it's not Mario. He's the only guy I think out there who could bring us back. People are like Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin doesn't.
The thing is, like Lane Kiffin, he would have tried to use us as a stepping stone job because there have been reports he might leave Ole Miss for Auburn. So it's like he would have done the exact same thing had he come here. So you know, it is what it is. All right, Lee, thank you so much.
All right,
talk to you again soon. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.
You too, buddy.
ParamountSports.com is his website. Guys, make sure you sign up at betteredge.com, BETTOR edge.com/5 reasons, the number 5 reasons, and you can get a $20 referral bonus. We will talk to you guys. I'll talk to you guys again, I think on Monday for another episode of The Extra Yard right here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.